from Bangkok, Thailand. Sawadee Cup. Sabay my cup. It's going to be a very laid back Sunday. You know why? Because that's how I want it. I like being laid back. Laid back is better than the alternative. So let's get through this here. As the title of the live stream suggests, does the average Joe stand a chance? And I was just thinking this morning because I saw this. Let me see where if I can find this real quick because I didn't pull it up. But there is a Harvard professor who is getting grief simply for saying that she believes biologically there are men and there are women. How you feel is irrelevant. And she is getting a lot of heat for that. And I'm just like, can you do anything, say anything without getting shit, without getting canceled, without being threatened to be thrown in jail? It doesn't make sense to me. And let me see here for gender. I think I saw it on Twitter, which is another cesspool. I'm pretty sure that's where I saw it. Let's see here. What was the name? Harvard professor. Harvard's gender problem. I don't know. If I can't find it, I can't find it. Oh, here we go. Harvard evolutionary biology professor trashed for not spewing woke ideas about gender. So now saying that there's a male and a female is considered dangerous. And I was just thinking to myself, I was going to call this like the alternate reality stream, but I realized that the other day I had a stream that was about being in the Twilight Zone, so I figured it was kind of similar. But good morning, everybody. Sawadee Cup. And so I didn't title it that, but I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, you can't do anything now. It's like, okay, I do understand it. In Thailand, they're talking about how there shouldn't be fake news, and that if you spew fake news, you're fear mongering that you can get thrown in jail here, or deported, or whatever. Okay, I understand that, because you don't want that going around, but it does. You do walk a thin line between freedom and telling the truth. And so between that, which actually the whole reason that they, I guess, got pissed off about this is because somebody spewed fake news about how there was a coup going on and that the prime minister was being ousted. And so, you can't have that kind of news come out and then it's just like I said yesterday. You can't say, hey, she's a rapist. She assaulted me. You can't do these things if it's not true. You can, but then if you're doing that, then what's the point if there's no follow through to find out what the truth is before that's allowed out? You know what I mean? So, because like I said, if you are allowed to say these things and do these things, then the reputation is already damaged. It doesn't really matter. And, I've seen that many, many times. And so, yeah, that's the thing. Listen, I got a buddy who, he's leaving America. He is leaving America. And he just wants to get out. He's tired of it. He lives in California. He's like, I want to get out of here. I've had enough. I don't need this shit. I don't. And he works at a place, and he basically manages the joint. He manages several of this particular business. I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think that's what he does. And anyway, he has to watch everything that he says. And, imagine you go up to a girl and you go, hey, you look nice today. Oh my God, you're harassing me. I mean, and maybe it's not as bad as what people say, but I've heard a lot of people saying, yes, it is. And, this is the thing, too. When it comes to biology and facts, the bottom line is I don't give a flying fuck how you feel. You either got a dick or you got a vagina or you've had a sexual problem. There's an issue, which I forget what the name of it is, where, you're both. And I think that's important to recognize. But in general, there's a male and a female. And in general, people are allowed to speak freely as long as it doesn't cause harm to others. Good morning, good morning. Hermaphrodite, yeah, that's what it is. The brain has to catch up a little bit. Anyway, listen, I wanted to get into this. Good morning, Carlos. I wanted to get into this talk here, but before I go on, we're almost at 33. Mean Gene, thank you. Big shout out to Mean Gene. Thank you very much, Mean Gene. I have to say that. Ever since I was a little kid, I saw Mean Gene. I think he's dead now. I'm not sure. I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid. But I'll tell you what, I didn't like the WCW, what was it, WWW or WWE or whatever it was. I always liked the one with like the Four Horsemen and Lex Luger and Sting, and I forget which one. That might have been the NWA or WCW. I like those because they seem more realistic. And so, that's pretty cool. But anyway, we're almost at 33 to the dollar, which is fantastic. The air quality is 48, which is good, but it ain't all that good. It could be better. We're always shooting for the best. But right now it's 86 degrees, high of 90, low of 79. The feel like temperature right now at 9 o'clock, not Booker T. High of or the 9 o'clock at 9 o'clock. It's let's see. The feel like temperature is 95. I never liked Booker T. Has nothing to do with his skin color or anything like that. I just didn't like his gig. I mean, I preferred somebody like Ric Flair or Dusty Rhodes over any of those, just because they had charisma. I mean, let's face it, Dusty Rhodes was at one time he wasn't all that fat, but he did get pretty fat. But his whole shtick was pretty cool. The what was he? The plumber's son or something like that. And the way he talked, he just had that charisma. He had it going on. Let's see, 69% humidity, 10% chance of rain, so maybe it won't rain. Winds south-southwest, 7 miles an hour, and visibility is, as always, 6 miles. So I'd like to know what some people have to think about this, but does the average Joe stand a chance? The reason I was thinking about that is, yes, you can go and protest. Yes, you can go and cause problems with the government in many different ways. But in the end, how many are successful? And I really don't know because I haven't done a lot of research on it. But what I do know is that when I was in Hong Kong, most people didn't think that, including myself, I really didn't think that the Hong Kongers had much of a chance. But you got to try, and so I'm wondering, like now, in the United States, I mean, you can lose your whole company because you say the wrong thing. If I say something, listen, I guarantee you, with everything that I've said on YouTube, if I was to go back to the United States and I pick a job and somehow some video gets out, which it probably would, where I'm saying, I don't give a shit about all these other, listen, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but the bottom line is I believe what I believe, which is, you're born with a penis, you're born with a vagina. I don't know what's so difficult to figure out about that. And also, I think that our freedom around the world, while we may not be where we were, say, 700 years ago or, something like that, I do think that we're suffering because of this, even before the virus. but the virus has given them an in, and I don't know that that's ever gonna. I don't know that that's ever gonna come back to where we have as much freedom as before the virus. And you see it going on in America, and I can see both sides, but I'm like, you know, you got the guy who says if you're vaccinated, you can't come into my restaurant, and he's supposedly being sarcastic and joking about it, but he's not. And so, okay, it goes both ways. Hey, if you don't have a mask on, you can't come in. If you've been vaccinated, you can't come in. If you haven't been vaccinated, you can't come in. But there's such divisiveness now that, to me, it's I just want to be left alone. I don't think my stating that I don't believe you are born somewhere you're not what is it? I don't even know all these words. Non-binary, or whatever it might be. I don't even know all these words. When I hear them, I remember, oh, okay, that's, related to the whole thing. But other than that, and when it comes to the Katoys here, I got nothing against them. They want to do what they want to do. Great, good for them. But they weren't born that way. It's just my opinion. I mean, they don't have to like it. And to me, I could never imagine, it's too foreign to me. But okay, I can understand also that mentally there might be something going on with them where they feel like one way and they really have a strong urge to be, some guy wants to be a woman. Okay, I can understand, and I don't have a problem with it. But don't tell me that I can't believe you weren't born a man, and if I say so, then I'm going to get thrown in jail, or I'm going to get sued, or, really, you can't get blood from a turnip anyway. I don't give a shit, But yeah, and that's the other thing, is that just because I feel one way doesn't mean that somebody else can't feel opposite to that. The only place that I draw the line, and I do it with trolls as well, is when they talk a bunch of shit or they get way too personal. If they talk a bunch of shit and I'm talking about, hey, you no-neck fat motherfucker, you stupid ass, you this, you that, they're name calling, big fucking deal. I don't give a shit they're name calling, but I don't need to see it in the stream. You know what I mean? You don't need to see that online. Your forums shouldn't allow it. And so, yeah, well, my big thing is, whatever happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never harm me. I still remember that growing up. I heard that all the time. My mother used to tell that to me. She must have drilled it into my head or something, because I remember that to this day all the time. It's like, okay, so and listen, I mean, I know somebody said something to me before and I punched them, or I've gotten into a fight or whatever it was, but that was years and years ago. Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. Move on. There's other things to do. And I was talking about the whole mask issue the other day, and about how I love Jocko's mentality about it. And that is, you're spending more time arguing about whether you should wear it or not, instead of just putting it on your damn face, going in there, getting what you got to get done, and then moving on. There's too. Personally, I don't want to waste my time. I'm too lazy when it comes. I'm really lazy when it comes to engaging anymore. I just have no. Even with my friends, we start getting into, okay, yeah. My mother used to say to me all the time, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. But I didn't always abide by that. But I think that everything has gotten to a point now, and what my biggest concern is, what I am curious to know is, does the average Joe really stand a chance? Look at the ties here. And I said this a while back, when you're walking through the mall, and you see some, young girl or young guy, they're like sitting at some cosmetics counter, or they're like selling watches, or maybe that's a halfway decent job there. But they're selling like kids' underwear or something. How much of a chance do they really have to get ahead? I mean, when it comes to, you got the government saying, you will do this, you won't do that, you will do this, you won't do that. Here in Thailand, I think it's very hard for them to break into other classes. I mean, you can move up, but I think that in some ways they want, some organizations, they want to hold you back, whether it's from skin color or whatever it is here. And I'm not talking about just here, because it's really everywhere. That's the thing. It's very easy to say, oh, the Thais are doing this, the Thais are doing that. Sometimes it's a Thai-specific issue, but many times, if you just take the word Thai away and you go, does that happen in America? Does that happen in South America? Does that, some of the countries in South America, does that happen elsewhere? And most of the time you'll say, yes, it does. Greetings, Gennaro. Well, I mean, I don't understand, really. I really don't understand how you could let that happen. Well, I feel like I'm, listen, if I really want to, I could say I feel like I'm Superman. I've said this before. I feel like I'm a ballerina. You are going to call, my first name is Ballerina. Ballerina Tina. So now, from now on, you have to call me Ballerina Tina? You want your name legally changed, you go and get your name legally changed. However, when it comes to your gender, what you think your gender is and what you really are two different things. I'm sorry, but, I'm not really sorry. But that's how it works. To all the people who might be thinking, oh, well, that's just racist. That's just whatever it is. It's not racist, obviously. You're discriminating. Why would I have to build a third bathroom in my company? Or a non-gender specific bathroom? Imagine the cost to some of these places. Some companies are huge. I mean, like, look at car manufacturers and stuff like that. Now, I don't know, maybe it's hard to get hired into these places. I don't really know. The more I think about it, the more absurd it is. It's really absurd. And I'm not just talking about the whole the gender issue alone. These people, the people that, like, if you've ever seen Steven Crowder when he goes out and change my mind, and, they never change his mind, especially about gender. But, I mean, think about something. It's difficult to change people's minds. I know I have to really see things and be able to figure things out, and look at it and say, okay, well, I'm wrong, or maybe I should think another way. Thank you for all the thumbs down. I appreciate it. And if you would be so kind, don't forget to leave some thumbs up. That would be nice too. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Don't forget, get yourself a shirt. Take 20% off. Use the code FLM. Get one of my books. Become a Patreon patron. Become a member of my YouTube. At the very least, the way I think now is, okay, if I can't really go out, or I'm not going to go out for a little while, because it might be a while before I'm able to travel freely, at least we can bring up some interesting topics. And, I'm not talking about always Thailand specific. This is not necessarily Thailand specific. Sometimes Thailand specific, sometimes not. But I think it's interesting. And listen, when people show the love, I stay motivated. When I don't see any love, I don't stay motivated. And by love, that means, buying me a coffee or something. I've been meaning to get one of those little buy me a coffee little links or whatever. I got enough already. That's a problem now. There's too many choices. Why do I have to accept you in the position you hold when my morals and religion teaches me that your view is wrong? Your rights are no greater than mine. Just live your life and let me live mine. Carl, what's happening, buddy? How you doing? How you doing? Don't mess with me and I won't stomp your ass. Listen, I don't believe anybody should have the right to tell someone else how they should live their life. I don't care if it's about the sexuality. I don't care if it's wearing a mask. You really, and I certainly don't believe that in the United States or in Thailand they should be allowed to come in and force you to get vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated. And if you die because you didn't get vaccinated, if that was the reason, which is very difficult to pinpoint the exact reason why you died, especially if you have comorbidities. So I think that that's a bit of a stretch. Yeah, I don't give a shit about the thumbs down. It doesn't matter. Keep giving them. Give me them thumbs down. I'm sure that I have some thumbs down for people who listen. I just believe I don't give a shit if anybody is straight, bi, homosexual. I don't give a shit because I don't care what they do behind closed doors. It doesn't matter to me. Have at it. Have fun. Have a great life. Look, I mean, I got Chuck. There's numerous people that I know that, their sexuality, it means nothing to me. I don't care. The only thing I'm saying is that biologically, when you're born, do you get born with a penis and a vagina, or a vagina? I was going to say and a vagina. That would be, I guess you could fuck yourself then, but, let's see, let me catch you going into the bathroom where my daughter is claiming you're a woman. Just understand you will get her. I mean, I don't understand the whole hoopla about it. And from what Chuck has told me, and a couple other people, really, they don't get all that upset about it. It's just a certain little fringe group, and so, but I'm not necessarily just talking about the sexuality thing. That is one particular issue. I'm talking about freedoms and the truth coming out. I can't even watch the news. I don't even like looking at it. I look at all these news things. All I want is the truth. That's all I want. I don't want their opinions most of the time. Now, I may want, if it's an opinion piece and it's in big letters, opinion. Okay, there are some people I will read and I will go, this guy, seems like he thinks along the same lines as me. Okay, I like what he's got to say. I don't think that that's a problem. But I do think that these news agencies have their own agenda. And, here it is. A Harvard lecturer takes heat for defending existence of biological sex on Fox and Friends. Okay. Whatever. I don't think anybody really cares where you pee as long as you're not peeing in the woman's bathroom as a male. When there's women in there. Sometimes, listen, I mean, I've gone into them because the male's bathroom was locked or something and there wasn't any other one, but there's nobody in the female bathroom. It's like one of those, it just says male, female, man, woman, and the woman's is empty, Well, what about the I don't even know the whole story behind this, but the weightlifter who is in the Olympics? Yeah, I really, to me, it's like I got my own shit. I got my own shit to think about. I got my own concerns in life, and the whole sexuality thing. Okay, I understand some people have that, and that's not to invalidate that, but like for me, it's not really an issue. And so there's not a whole lot of things where I go, wow, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go do something about it. Man, I gotta get with it. I do believe the Hong Kongers got screwed over. I do believe at some point the Taiwanese may get screwed over. And that bothers me. And I don't like the mentality of the Chinese. And if you go on Twitter, all you have to do is look at numerous news outlets, and they are state-run media. And everything is, pro-Chinese, anti-American. And, listen, there are some good things about China. I mean, as much as I hate their government, there are some good aspects of the people and that kind of thing. They stick together as a country. To me, they're brainwashed. But, maybe you could say that about Americans who are immediately, this is the best country in the world. I think there are aspects of the United States that are the best in the world. Uh, but I also think there are a lot of other places that you can say the same thing. Yeah, Walter. I couldn't. I have such a hard time saying his last name, and I don't know why. I never did before. Walter Cronkite. Remember getting freaked out about having female cleaners in male bathrooms. Got over that. Yeah, here in Thailand, if you walk in, listen. There have been times I don't think. I think there may have been one or two times in almost 30 years that I've had to take a shit in like the mall or in some place, some like Happy Land Center or something like that. Because I just, I don't want to take a shit in a public place if I can avoid it. I like my own toilet seat that has my ass burned into it. But when you go in there, I have taken many, many pisses in like the mall Bangkok. I mean, you go in there and I'm like, shaking my schlong, and I turn around, I'm zipping up, and then there's this lady, hello, sawadee-ka, and I'm like, do you like the view? You like what you see? I mean, and they don't care. They're just like, they're just spraying away. Yeah, I do think that the lines are getting blurred. Oh, the Democrats. Don't get me started on them. Don't get me started on it. It's so funny that when I get a little bit controversial, I get so many thumbs down. People can't handle it. They just hate me. They hate me. They hate my views. And that's okay, because you know what? Fuck you. I'm entitled to having my views. Really, I'm entitled to have my own view. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it. But the next step, I'm telling you, there's going to come a point in mankind when somebody is going to plant a chip in your head, and you're not going to be allowed to think a certain way. I do believe that will happen at some point. In some country, it's going to happen. They're going to put some chip in your brain. They're going to put some chip in you somewhere. And all that's going to happen is you're going to be pre-programmed. And you're not going to be able to think the way you want to think. If you think anything that's a little bit to what is not thought of as normal at the time. Oh my God, I'm thinking that there's only two sexes. Oh my God, my brain's gonna fry out. They're gonna have to make adjustments to that little SIM card they put in my brain. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime, but you never know. Well, there you go. You can... listen, if the Democrats had something good to share and to do, I would be like, okay, great. But what's going on the border? What's going on there? Americans are American citizens. They live there. They pay taxes there. And guess what? Everybody else that's coming in has rights that some Americans don't have. They don't even get deported. It's ridiculous. Coffee. I was just thinking about how the internet and smartphones, I think they've been as good as they do for mankind, for all the good that they do and the information they provide. I think social media especially, and some of these forums and stuff like that, I think that they are they are the part of the problem. Let me see something here. Yeah, the social media, this is the thing too. These what do they call them? The tech, the big tech. They have a lot of control now. They are the bane of our existence, in my opinion. You're kind of stuck. You got kids growing up with this shit. They got 15 months to jam their agenda down our throats, then Congress will be Republican. Well, let's hope so. I just want I want to see America go like a little bit to how it was at one time. None of this bullshit where, you're not allowed to say something. If you say the wrong thing, you're fired. You're gonna get thrown in jail. Oh my God! 25 years ago, he said that women belong in the kitchen. Or let's say 50 years ago, the guy said, he's a misogynist. Yeah, well, at one time it was believed that women belonged in the kitchen and that men were the ones who did all the repairs on automobiles. Now we know that there are plenty of women that would kick my ass. There are plenty of women that would kick the average guy's ass. There are women that are far better at fixing cars than I am. But that doesn't mean back in the day that it was that way, because they didn't have the same freedoms and things were different. Times change. And if this is how our time is going to be, I don't want our time to go very long. Richard, thank you. How you doing? Thank you very much. Choke D, choke D. Choke D to everybody. It's you guys who make it possible. I was telling, we believe it was Longhorns, who's probably laying in bed, lazy bastard, the other day that, I would have never thought that I would get onto, I just thought when I came onto YouTube, it's been about 8 years now. When I got onto YouTube, listen, I mean, they're all full of shit. They're all full of shit. That's the way it goes. They are all full of shit. And my buddy told me that a while back, 99.9% of people are full of shit. And I was like, that's a bit harsh, But really, it's probably not. But let me read this one comment this guy left. Where's it at here? I didn't respond to this one, did I? Let's see. This guy wrote, I believe nothing and I believe no one. I mean, that's about how it is, Yeah. This is part of the problem. Everybody thinks, oh, America, they're the bastion, what is it? The bastion of freedom. They're the this, they're that. Oh, it's the place. Listen, it's one of the better places in the world. I will say that. But it's not perfect. And thus, there is corruption. In fact, America is one of the more corrupt places in the world. They're farther down on the line than you might think, in the rankings than you might think. Thailand is also, they got their issues as well. But there are some places that are far more corrupt than here or America, Scott, are we good? As far as I know. Teaching in the university yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I don't even, when it comes to America, I don't want to say it's a lost cause, but maybe it is. And listen to me. I think everybody should have the same rights. I think women should have the same rights as men. I don't think why should women have less rights than men? I'm a believer that women should be treated equally. However, when I say equally, that means if the man is making a lot more money than her, he shouldn't have to give her 50% or more. You can't see the difference, Carl. You can generalize the corruption we're talking about. I think how they approach getting what they want, I think the Democrats, there is no facade. They just do what they want to do. And the Republicans try to make it seem like, Yeah, I've said this for a long time, Carlos. And I'm not saying that I'm a hard ass by any means, because I grew up, fortunate and as an American, fortunate in many other ways, fortunate. If you're born in the wrong place, just on a wrong plot of land, in the wrong ant colony, you're fucked. For, your whole life is a struggle. In America, people got it easy. We're softies, So yeah, I think we are people who, if you come in ninth place out of 9, you got to get that trophy. That kind of shit. And there's a lot of whinging. If you're gonna whinge, you might as well try to do something about it. And this is the thing. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, man, I understand how come some people in other countries, they're older and they're more established, and so they're not so apt to run out and challenge a government or something like that. Or a law or whatever. They're not always that apt to do that because they have a lot to lose. When you're young and you're in school, usually most people don't have all that much. They're students. They're worrying about getting through school and then starting their life. So they're more than willing to jump out, onto the street and get into a protest. That's how it was in Hong Kong. But I did notice there was, older people, but for the most part, the majority were made up of younger people. Oh yeah, I mean compared to like World War I, World War II, we're a bunch of weak fucks. And when it comes to like Thailand, I mean, I thought about it. I thought, what if they start coming down? Like soldiers start walking down the street with their machine guns, banging on doors, and if they see you, if they know you're home, or if they want to kick your door in and they want to say, hey, are you vaccinated? Or, hey, you're not Thai, you need to get out of here, or something like that. What would I do? Well, what are you going to do? There's not a whole lot you can do. You can do a preemptive thing, which is like get the fuck out of Dodge. If you know that it's happening, you get out of Dodge. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see here. The men back then were just that, men. When men were men, and they made no bones about it. You think the cure is... Yes, I do. I do think that the cure has become much worse because it has brought about many political problems, medical... listen, in the beginning I thought, who's this Dr. Fauci? Oh, sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He must. He's got all these credentials. But then when you start digging in a little more, I'm like, I don't believe a fucking word he says now. He's a politician. He's a paid puppet. That's how I believe. That's what I believe. Listen, if you really want to leave a thumbs down, please come into the chat. Tell me why. I don't begrudge you for leaving a thumbs down. Leave a thumbs down, but Jesus Christ, come in and say something like, I believe you're full of shit, or whatever it is. Come in and say something. I mean, but I'll tell you what, like, did you see that Tucker Carlson was in Montana, of all places, and some guy came in, some fisherman approached him and confronted him and started giving him shit. And the guy was an asshole. And, do you really have to confront somebody out in public and tell them it's all your fault? You've killed millions of people? What kind of fuckhead does that? I don't know. I mean, I guess if you really want to say what you got to say, then go ahead and do it. But, there's a way to say things to people, and it's like, I've said this before, it's like if you walk up to somebody and you go, fuck you, man. People, they get angry. But if you're with somebody and you go, fuck you, man, come on, and you're lighthearted about it, generally there's going to be less issues. You're not going to have so many problems with the person. I think how you say something is extremely important. Richard, thank you very much. Since Richard's the only one giving super chats today, thank you to the extreme. Choke D, Mr. Richard. Chucky, I have not talked to him since Thursday. Oh shit, what's going on here? My battery's going dead? What the fuck? I gotta see, hang on a second. Alright, looks like it's charging now. I believe Chucky is getting ready for his trip to Europe. Last I talked to him was Thursday, and he's going. I know at least he's going to Italy and Greece, and I will bring him on from Italy and from Greece. So that's going to happen, and I'll try to bring him on in the next couple of days. I'm going to have to see what he's doing. I think he leaves the middle of the month. So that should be interesting to see him, and maybe he'll ask a few questions of some Italians or some Greeks. I don't know. I'm not counting on that, but that would be kind of nice. But it would be nice to get his insight about what's going on there, especially like in Italy where things were so terrible. But yeah, anyway, here we are again, and if you believe you have no chance, you've lost hope. And I think when people want to make changes, that's why people who really believe, they get together and they try to make changes. Hey Scott, wanted to retire early in 5 years in Southeast Asia. Do you think it will be possible since I'm only 36? It's all about the money, man. It's all about the money. You got money? Maybe. Depends on how much. You don't have money? No. Or you better have a very niche skill. All right, what's going on with this internet here? There we go. All right. Now, you discovered a topic that was one that got to me and was a tough one, but I did not cry and complain. I just excused myself from the people need to remember they can't control. Which stream was that? What was that? The other day? Well, listen, dude. You're gonna have to get yourself like an elite visa or get a job or start a business or something like that. That's all I'm gonna say on the subject. You want more information? Contact me. Contact me through Patreon or become a member of this channel or something like that. Do that. But the 120K is good. The $1,200 a month is barely enough. If you're not generating any more income. Oh, about the trafficking, yeah. Yeah, to me, that's a, there's no, that's just fucking horrible, man, Well, I'm not a Democrat, I can tell you that. Listen, I'm a supporter of whoever I believe in and whoever I believe is doing the right thing, okay? And I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, I'll tell you that. And I would never vote for that fucking twat. Because if half of the stuff that was said about her when it comes to Benghazi was true, that's reason enough for me. So, anyway, I don't want to get into the whole politics thing. I'm allowed to believe what I want. And I've talked to several people about this. And, some people who were Democrats really got pissed off. They were like, I can't believe you. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing believing in this guy instead of her? And I'm like, listen, he's the better choice for me. That's what I believe. If you don't believe it, that's your prerogative. That's what freedom's about. Freedom is that you have the right to choose. You have the right to do things as long as it doesn't infringe on others and hurt others. And I can tell you that me making a choice does not mean that I am the one who is to blame for anything that a person does. I can't control him, the president, whether it's Sleepy Joe or Bonehead Joe, or whether it's about, Trump, the grab him by the vagina, I can't control what they do. All I can do is say, hey, I hope they stick to what they say, or I hope what they believe in and is what they stick to that because that's what I believe in. That's all you can do. I like Ronald Reagan too. So when it comes to politics, it's like, listen, do whatever you want. That's what the freedom is mainly about. You have freedom to choose, and we are lucky in that sense. Although I don't know what the hell's going on with all the voting and where do they? This is what I don't like. All the changes they're making. Oh my God, what happened to just get it in on time? Do what you're supposed to do. Stop fucking around and saying, well, it's hard for me, and I don't want to stand in line. Listen, people have been standing in line for fucking centuries. Tough shit. You gotta stand up sometimes. You can't lay on your ass all the time. Donald Trump can't drive an 18-wheeler. Neither can I. I mean, I have an idea how to do it. But I would crash for sure in about the first 30 seconds, if not less. So, all that doesn't matter. What matters, though, in the end, is that people have their freedom. If you don't believe in Donald Trump or you don't believe in Biden, then, do what you gotta do. Do your part. That's all. And, if you don't agree with what somebody is doing in Congress or something, then write your senator, write your, write your representative. As simple as that. But I'll tell you what, there are places where when people vote, there are definitely some shady dealings going on. And so they don't have the same freedom because they can vote. I mean, look at what's going on in Myanmar. Son of a bitch. Having problems with my, I got problems. Let's see if I can do it with this. These cables are shit, you know that? This is an Apple cable right here. But they tend to be shit. Thank you, Richard. You're making my day, man. Just give me 1 second. Choke D, Richard. Choke D, thank you very much. Thank you all the time for all your contributions you made over the years, really. And thank you to everyone else. Thank you to Henry, by the way. I don't know if I said that the other day or not, but thank you to Henry. A lot of good people. For all the assholes there are online, there's an equal or greater number of good people. And I don't mean good people that because they throw me a couple of bucks or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. But there are people that, I can talk to and they're reasonable. They're semi-stable, 100,000 tests in Sydney, 150 cases and very few in hospital. Would you call that a pandemic? Listen, what's going on in Australia? I feel for the Australians because that's a fucking travesty. What's going on there? And I was watching something about the percentages of actual people around the world, that the percentage of of how many people are actually dying from the virus is so small, and the people are generally older and have these comorbidities, that it makes it even smaller. That I do believe that this cure, this let's lock down, is much worse than the actual virus itself. That's my own opinion. I believe that, and nothing's going to change my mind about that. I don't care what Fauci says. I don't think people need to be locked down like this. Now, I can tell you that Phuket, forget about it. Domestic tourism's dead. You're not going to get people coming in from around the country going into Phuket right now. They're not allowed to do it. So you only got the international travelers. And then you got very few, and the number is dwindling because of what's going on here. So they're not going to meet their goal, but at least they did try. I'll give them that. They tried. And I guess it's better to try and fail than not to try at all. And they did, they are generating some money. But what was it that I saw going on in, here it is here. This is fucking horrible. Carlos, maybe you know about this, or maybe Pattaya Bob is talking about it. I was at the local hospital. Hundreds waiting for the vaccine, but nobody in. This was about in Pattaya, where city workers have been confronting homeless people after complaints from some residents about the growing number of makeshift shelters around the town. Now, generally, I would say, yeah, that's bullshit. Okay, I would, generally be like, what the fuck, man? Like in San Francisco, there's no reason for it. Figure it out. The government needs to figure it out and they do what they got to do to make things right. Now, here, what I would say is that they're locking everything down. You're basically saying to people, you are not allowed to go and apply your trade. Now, what's a plumber going to do when he's got to go out and fix something? I mean, what is a refrigerator I can tell you now, they'll come out, but like the majority of them, business is way, way down. Even my dentist, like I said the other day, my dentist said, yeah, she's doing a fraction of what she did before. So they're making a lot less money. And then they say, oh, well, if you don't have the money to pay your rent, you get kicked out. Oh, well, but don't sleep on the streets. Well, where the fuck are they supposed to stay? I don't understand that. Where are they supposed to stay? You got homeless shelters for them? You're going to be giving out food? No, you know who's going to be giving out the food? The foreigners. The foreigners are going to be giving food to the Thais so that the Thais can give them to other Thais. The Thai government's not handing out thousands and thousands of meals. This is what I mean. And, there are numerous people have told me about Pattaya and how that it's being made difficult. Giving food to Thai people is a it's something you got to be careful about. Now all I know is anecdotal evidence from a lot of people have told me certain things that the police don't particularly like it, and you got to go to the city hall and all these other things. What are these people supposed to do? And what's going to happen? I'm going to give you a for example. Doesn't have to be in Thailand. Could be in America. Doesn't matter. Could be in some other place. People are locked up. They can't work. You got people, they can't work from home. That was my point about the refrigerator repairman. Yeah, I know. I mean, because you are basically operating as a volunteer. And that's sad. But, what about if you're at home doing things at home and you're still not getting the same amount of money? You can't even make ends meet. Now, what about if you're at home and you can't do the work like a refrigerator repairman or a plumber, and some places are shut down because of this? Just any job where you can't work online. Now, you run out of money, you tap your savings. Some of these people, maybe they had 100,000, 200,000 baht savings, and they had 20, 30,000 baht a month in bills, and their money's gone. It's all gone. They get thrown out on the street, and then they get told, you can't sleep here. You can't even sleep on the street. Where are you going to go? I mean, I think they need to figure something out. That's what I would say. You got to figure something out. And the problem here is that, and like I said, and here as a foreigner, I say this all the time. Don't think that your government, whether it's yours or the Thai government, don't think that anybody's going to take care of you here. They're not. I can tell you firsthand, you get thrown in jail, they're not going to come. It's not like in the movies, unless you have a high profile case. You get thrown in jail for something. Let's say you get thrown in jail for smoking weed. They're not going to come running over to help you and get you out of jail, or, it just doesn't work that way. So you don't have anybody to rely on but yourself. And if I were to say that's one thing you better think of, it doesn't matter what country you're going to, you damn sure better be able to handle yourself one way or the other. Whether it's as a family, whether it's with your girlfriend or whatever, as a backup, or just by yourself. It doesn't matter. You damn sure better be able to handle things. And it's not easy. Nobody said it was easy. Another thing my mother used to say is, nobody said that life would be easy. That's what she used to tell me all the time. If I started to whinge and whine, she'd say, nobody said life would be easy. If everything, if everybody were meant to be rich, then everybody would be like, what was his name? Was it John Rockefeller? I forget. What Nelson Rockefeller. He was the big rich guy at the time back when I was a little kid. The Rockefellers. We'd all be like Rockefeller. If you call the ridiculous plan known as a sandbox trying, then I guess they tried. Well, yeah, I call it trying. I don't call it the smartest plan. Yeah, Thailand is not all bum guns and Japanese tourists. Or Japanese toilets. Tourists. The tourists do the spraying. Oh, God. This is the other thing, is yesterday, I was talking to my wife, and we were talking about how right now we're just in limbo. We're in a standstill. We're in a holding pattern, and we've been in one from ever since I came back from Hong Kong. Listen, I got back from Hong Kong in the middle of December of 2019. Everything kicked off in like February. By April and May, things here were going to shit. So we've been in this for, it's been a fair amount of time now. It's been a little over a year, like a year and 3 months or something like that, year and 4 months, depending on when you want to count from. And it hasn't been fun, but I just feel like, I'm like, man, if I had to do this for another 5 years, I could do it. But I would really think, my life as a free person, my life as a person who could actually live is over. I'm just existing. That's another thing I was thinking about. You want to talk about guys who come over here and they're living off $500 a month and they're, existing. Okay. We're just existing right now. Many countries, the people in many countries who live in many countries around the world now, this virus has put them in this holding pattern. And what I just don't get is there's no consequences. Nobody's going to be, and the placing blame doesn't really accomplish much unless there's going to be consequences. And I wish there was consequences. If the American government was involved in it with the Chinese government, then they should figure something out. I don't know what it is, and I don't expect anything to ever happen. But in a perfect world, you screw up royally and you cost, hundreds of thousands of lives. You got to do something. Supposedly the numbers are going to hit 40,000 or something like that by September. Some people online are saying that, there's a lot of people coming out of this and they're recovered. Well, the reason that there's more people recovering is because there are more people that are being diagnosed with the virus. So if they have to go in, if they don't die, they recover. The more people that are diagnosed and thrown into the hospital system, the more people that are going to recover, because only a small percentage die. Thank God well, that's what my mother and father say. They say we have come to the conclusion that if we have to live this way for the rest of our lives, we will. And I don't want to think that way. I've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, where I want to go back out on the streets and start photographing Bangkok. I feel like kind of obligated to do it as a photographer. And I mean, sometimes I'm very serious about photography, and sometimes I'm not. I haven't been now because I haven't really felt like going out. It's just such a miserable freaking experience wearing that mask around all the time. I don't like it. I don't want to be out for 4, 5, 7 hours with a mask on, and then it's just a pain in the ass, In America, they're talking about how the numbers are going up and all this, and well, what's the point of the vaccines? And this it's not unlike any other medical situation, like with a virus that's happened in the past. In fact, we should be much better off than we were back in the days of polio and diphtheria and smallpox and all these other things, Spanish flu. We should be far better off because medically we're supposed to be far more advanced than we used to be. So I don't get some of the things that are going on, and I don't like them, and that's what makes me think. When I see the cops, I'll tell you what really pisses me off. Here in Thailand, with the exception of maybe in Pattaya, and I don't really know, I just know what I've seen in the news, and we know what the news can be like. The cops tend to be pretty decent most of the time. They tend to be polite. As long as you don't get violent and physical, well then, they stay pretty much like Thais are. They stay pretty mellow. But elsewhere, and when I see things in Australia, and I see how they're being treated by the police, how people are being treated by the police, and how their leaders are reacting, I'm just going, man, what the fuck is going on in the world, man? Have people just lost their minds? What's caused all this? That's the thing. What has caused it and what's going to fix it? What's caused people to say, oh my God, you said this, cancel him? What's caused that lack of freedom, lack of dialogue? I don't get it. There's a lot of things I don't get, and I try to think of them, and then after a while I just go, I'm tired. I don't want to think about it anymore. Yeah, well, and I think some of that has to do with social media. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Hey. I want to be a star. Look at me. 48 years ago, this guy made a pass at me and he brushed against my tushy. All right, we're going to bring charges against him. We're going to cancel him. His TV channel, his TV show's been canceled. Listen, just remember one thing. When you see a girl and she's gorgeous, just remember, all right, she might be putting on some expensive pants, more expensive pants than the one you wear. She might be looking different, and, she might be, like on a different plane. She might be absolutely stunning to where you're like, you can't stop looking at her. Bottom line is, though, when she gets naked, she still takes a shit just like you do. She just might take it on a better toilet, especially if she's got a Japanese toilet. Richard, man, you're coming through for me today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Choke D. Choke D, Choke D. Richard is lonely when it comes to the super chats. My buddy used to say that. Now you have to put it in such a disgusting way. Just if you really want to, think of her sitting on the toilet. She's just like you are. Everybody's the same. We're all the same. All right, when it comes to that, we're the same. When it comes to, like we're all human beings. Imagine what some of these people are like who work in Hollywood and they just feel so privileged and so special. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's like that. There are some down-to-earth people and some people who they view it as a vocation, not as stardom. Oh my God, I can't believe that they didn't treat me so they didn't roll out the red carpet when I came into their restaurant, So, that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's a crazy, crazy world out there. What was the name of that? Was it a Sid Caesar movie or Mel Brooks? It's a crazy, 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 crazy world out there. It's a mad, mad world out there or something like that. It's a mad, 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 mad world. Yeah. Well, that was... All right, yeah, it wasn't what's his name, Mel Brooks. Man, that was 1963. I must be getting old. What is this? Chucky, I don't know where he is. He's been, listen, Chucky has been meeting with his friends and going out. You know, he has that option. He can go out and hang out and do things. I asked him to come in the other day, and he got back to me afterwards. I haven't talked to him since Thursday, though. So he's probably getting ready for his trip to Europe, which is what I said earlier. He is going to be on from somewhere in Italy and somewhere in Greece at some point this month. It's August now here in Thailand. So I say this month. You know, it might be the third week of August or something like that that he should be on with us. But maybe he'll be on one more time before he leaves. I don't know, you know. Maybe the smells are the same, but the visuals of a stunning girl in the toilet are still pretty damn appealing. You get the point, though. Okay, I mean, listen, we're not gonna say that, you know, if you got some 450-pound chick, I guess unless you're into that, sitting on a toilet is different. You know, I admit there is a difference between some supermodel sitting there and some chick who, you know, my 600-pound chick or whatever she's called. There's a difference. But Chucky in Greece, what a shocker. Listen, Chucky's a world traveler. You know, he does travel a lot. Or he did. And I'm sure, you know, and he's just, you know, I don't know, he's got that thing where it's just like kind of like me where I say, oh, I want to go, and, you know, be careful what you wish for. I want to go to Central Africa. I don't know why. Maybe because it's the last frontier, one of the last frontiers of the world. I don't really know, and he doesn't really know why he wants to travel all the time. Well, listen, he's going to Italy too, so maybe he's looking for romance. I don't know, but he likes the Asian guys, so don't get me started. All right, it doesn't matter as long as he says. Just like I said to you, Longhorns, as long as you're happy and having a good time, that's all that matters. Well, you know, with Chucky, he likes everything. He likes everybody, he likes everything, and he doesn't think that anybody's bad. A hot body doesn't compensate for a rotten attitude, at least not over the long term. There you go. Chucky and Mykonos. I'm gonna have to find out. I'm gonna have to find out where exactly he's going in Greece. If he plans on having, like, I'm not even gonna go there. I can't go there. I need a haircut right now. I can start to see the gray. Once I let my hair grow a little longer, which for me this is long now, I start to see all the white hairs popping up all over the place. It's time to shave. I gotta get Alex. I gotta get him out of bed. What time is it? Is he awake yet? It's 10 o'clock. He's not awake. I need to get him up and get them shears out. And get the sheep shears out and get him to start shaving my head. Yeah, Chucky's a nice guy. I mean, he is a good guy. And to me, that's all that's important. He's a good guy. You know, you can carry on a conversation with him. And I do enjoy arguing with him. I enjoy giving him shit about, you know, things like, why the hell do you really want to go to North Korea? I just want to see it. The people are wonderful there. I find that the people are just, you know, in many places are wonderful. It's the governments you got to watch out for. And that's the thing now. Does the average Joe stand a chance against governments? I don't really know. It doesn't seem like we got that great of a deal going on. You know, I mean, it's like, okay, let's see. We don't like the way things are going. We go out and protest. Maybe we get the shit beat out of us and we die. You know. So you have to be really passionate about whatever that problem is to stand up for it, because otherwise it's not worth it. Yeah, we should start calling him Chucky Ass Crack. What Bum Gun Chuck? Yeah, Ass Crack Chuck. That's what we'll call him. Well, listen, 1 million plus in Hong Kong didn't do enough. And it's painful to see. It's painful to see what's going on there now. And I don't want to go back there now. I don't want to go back because I feel like it's not the same Hong Kong. And I know a couple of people that they feel differently, but I know many people that I met there who are like, fuck this. And I'm wondering how many of them got out and went to the UK. I know a few have, but I don't know, I don't keep track of everybody that I met there, so. Anyway. Not to be a Dick Downer. I was gonna say Debbie Downer. Dirt Downer. Not to be a dirt downer, but I think nowadays, because everything's so high tech, I think a lot of places they got a hard time, man. If they want to make real change, you gotta hope that you're living in a place where you have that capability to vote and that the voting is legitimate. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed. I mean, you look at, say, in Hong Kong, they just shut down the subway, made it a lot harder for people to get out. Yeah, he's all right. I haven't talked to him in a little while, but I do talk to him still, and I see his what he's doing. I keep track of him a little bit. I've been meaning to write him because I haven't talked to him in a couple of months, 2 months. And actually, I just got paid because of the pictures that I took, the ones where the guy got the ear bit off, and there was all these people that got slashed with a knife. I don't remember the number, like 5 people, and one of them was a politician pro Beijing, and the others were pro Hong Kong. And it led to this big bloody thing. Anyway, like 3 of my pictures got published in this book, and they used them, and I got a check, or I got a payment, basically. They cut me a check. So every time I look at the photos, like I have some of them on Instagram and on my website and stuff, it just makes me just go, what the fuck, man? If the people don't want to be part of China, if the majority don't want to say we are part of China, then why doesn't China just go, listen, we're big enough, we don't need to worry about Hong Kong? Well, of course they want to worry about Hong Kong because it's about the money, it's about the pride, it's about the face, it's about, this is ours, we're not going to let them separate from us. Not good. Anyway, whatever. Thank God for Netflix. Been binge watching all kinds of shows. From 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon till 10 o'clock at night. I'm just me and the old lady and the kids. The kids, they get bored, but I was hoping that maybe that there would be a Starbucks that would open up, right around the house, but that hasn't happened. Yeah. And this is going to go on for at least another 2 weeks, and I just saw something about how it could go on for as long as 2 months, because that's what they believe the time that it's going to take of people being locked down to change the numbers. What I continue to say is the numbers keep going up and up and up and up, and people are locked down. They've been locked down for weeks. There's been a softer lockdown even before this one. I don't watch Korean dramas. Yeah, I have a hard time with that. I have to be in the mood to watch. Have to be in the mood to watch anything that's subtitled. I don't give a shit about that. You know, really. It's like watching Byfern Pimchanok. Excuse me. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, I mean, it's nice, you know. Okay, yeah, yeah. But it's the show that makes the show. You know, it's the show that makes it worth watching, not the chicks. I could give a shit about the chicks. Chicks are a dime a dozen, face it. You know, I don't give a shit. They're a dime a dozen. You know? The ones on TV. It's like you might as well just... Over the years, I mean, you know, when I was growing up, it was like... I remember I used to watch Elvira and just stare at her tits when I was a kid. You know. Who was back in the day? Sybil Shepherd was like a big deal. Now look at her. You know, look at Melanie Griffin now, or Griffith, or whatever her name is. Forget about it. I never liked her. I don't mean, you know, her personality or thing, but I never liked the way she looked. She didn't appeal to me. I can't even think of who the hot actresses were in the 60s and 70s, which tells you how important they are. They're not. You're going to forget them. At some point, you forget them. What was that chick's name? Don't know. It's the show. It's the show. The show must go on. You know, really, when it comes down to it, I mean, how many actresses do you remember? I mean, if I started saying names, you'd be, oh yeah, I remember her. But how many actresses do you remember from the 50s and 60s? Not very many. You know. I mean, you remember the huge superstars. Barbara Bach, I mean, now she's like 80 years old. I mean, you know, 70 years old, 75 years old, or whatever she is. Farrah Fawcett, long gone. Remember how popular she was for that brief period of time? I used to tell the fighters all the time, you better eat this time up right now. You better use every second you can, because it'll be gone before you know it. And I tell my kids now, hey, right now, you don't have to do much. You just got to do your chores. You got to do your schoolwork. And, you know, other than that, you got no concerns. These are your only concerns. In a couple of years, you're going to have your boss breathing down your neck, or you're going to have a business you're trying to work on, or you're going to have, you know, something that you're working on that's, you know, you need to get it done. It's so important. You're going to have to be serious about life. And, you know, Linda Carter, she's old as Moses now. You know, I mean, you really want to go back. Lenny Bruce in the 60s, what was it, in the 60s? George Carlin didn't make it until a little bit later. What about, who was the one in Jessica Lange? That was in like the 80s or 70s with King Kong. Lindsay Wagner, yeah. All right, but I mean, Lindsay Wagner, come on. I wouldn't call her gorgeous or anything like that. She was a nice looking woman, but, you know, even Faye Dunaway, look at her now you know, even 10, 20 years ago, compared to when she was in Bonnie and Clyde. I liked her in Bonnie and Clyde, you know. So everything changes. And, you know, when it comes to the celebrities, you know, another thing my parents used to say, hey, they're just like we are. They're just doing a different job, you know. Don't get too concerned about the whole stardom and, you know. When you're young, mind and body are one. When you're older, you realize that your body is a machine that starts to malfunction quickly if you don't look at it. Yeah, and you know, it's the same thing about, you know, like, oh my God, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I gotta marry her. I gotta send her money every month. You know, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, if you think with this head, or you can separate the two heads, you're far better off than, you know, if you let one head dictate, if the little head dictates everything. Because in the long run, I mean, like, listen, I thought one of the funniest parts, listen, Halle Berry, how many times has she been married, or how many guys has she run through? The same thing with Cher. How many times has she been married? Look at it. I mean, you know, to me, these people have issues. And either they shouldn't have got married, or they got some kind of issue with relationships. Because their career comes first, not their relationship. Now I could be wrong, but that's how I view it. Yeah, Raquel Welch back in the day was she was a piece of ass for sure. She was, well, I don't want to say it that way. I'll get in trouble. Yeah, Longhorns doesn't go that far back. He doesn't remember all that way back. Holly Berry was a good-looking woman. So yeah, but at the end of the day, does it really matter? You know what really matters? The one that's with you. That's what matters. The one that you're with, or she's with you. All this stuff, and the thing I think that the reason that the actors are always marrying actors is not necessarily about the money. It's about the lifestyle. So sometimes they marry entrepreneurs or stuff like that because the guys are understanding, hey, she's got to take off. You know what? She can take off and she'll be gone for a week, and then I'm going to go meet her. And then I'll be with her for the next month, and then I'm going to leave, and she's going to have a week by herself or whatever. Bo Derek is old now, but yeah, Nicolas Cage got Asian fever. I don't know, is he still with that chick? I don't know. Nicolas Cage looks like shit now himself. I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, and John Wick 3. Holly Berry looked good. I mean, but let's face it. Look at how Marlon, if you want to look at guys, and I'm not talking about in a sexual way, unless you're into that kind of thing, not that there's anything wrong with that. Ursula Andress, what was her name? I don't think was it Andrews? Ursula, whatever. And Salma Hayek, they were both pretty fine. Yeah, that's a long time ago. I mean, look at him back in the day. What I was going to say is, if you look at Marlon Brando or James Dean died, but I mean, if you look at, say, Marlon Brando when he was a young guy, man, all the women wanted him. They all were into him. They were like, oh my God. Look at him by the time he got to Apocalypse Now. Things change. And so do women. You really want to see look at, I'll tell you what, you want to look at a woman? Now, I wasn't really into her or anything like that, but look at Grace Slick. When she was a young woman, and how they marketed her look. And look at her now as an old woman, where she's painting, living alone, or whatever she's doing now. Look at her. Huge difference, man. People change. You know who I used to like was Claudia Longet. She was married to Andy Williams for a while. I really liked her. She was in, what was the name of that show? McHale's Navy. She was in McHale's Navy. What? What is WTH? Deborah Harry? She's all right, yeah. Once Upon a Time in the West, great movie. Fantastic movie. I love that movie. That's the one, it's like 4 hours long. It's got like Jimmy Stewart in it. It's got all these stars in it. Great movie. Anyway, even these people, I think they have a tough time. Some of them have a tough time. Guys like, look at Scott Baio, James Woods, Kirstie Alley, all these actors and actresses, they have been, I don't want to say blackballed completely, but they have a hard time getting work simply because they don't agree with the Hollywood Democrats and liberals. They don't have the same way of thinking. And so because of that, you're not one of us. We're booting you out. We're going to make things hard for you. That's how it is now. What happened to the, spirit of, friendliness and that kind of thing? I used to like that, what was the one that was in the Transformer 2, the little one? I liked her. She was cute. Anyway, Wong Arante, I don't know who that is. Yeah, well, I mean, men eventually men get to that point where they start getting hunched over and they're walking with a cane and they're, you know, I look at Kirk Douglas, perfect example. He lived a long. I think he's dead now, right? I don't know though. Is he dead? Yeah, he died last year. He was 104 years old. Holy shit. 104. Let me see something here. How many times was he married? He looked old 20 years ago. I don't know. It doesn't say anything about what I was looking for. Let's see. He was married. He was married twice. Huh. Not bad, huh? For a Hollywood legend. What was that guy's name? Robert. Megan Fox. She don't do nothing for me anymore. What was that guy's name? Robert Evans. He was the guy. He was a player back in the day. That guy was a player, and I don't think he really acted much. He was like a producer. Anyway, I feel like we're in like the top 10 list right now. We got to get to the top 10 of the. I don't know how we transfer. Does the average Joe stand a chance? Not with Megan Fox. Not with Bo Derek. They want to see something a little bit different than the guy working down at the stereo shop installing speakers for his customers, Anyway, we're about out of time. Yeah, but didn't they find her not guilty? Let me see here. What is this? Now listen, I liked I Dream of Jeannie. I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden. She still looks good, and she's like 80, 90, 120 years old now. Still got a cracking body on her. She's 147, and she looks fantastic. They make such a big deal about Jennifer Lopez, but I can only imagine at 52, when she like gets out of her clothes, things are dropping. You know. Yeah, whatever happened to Vanna White? Vanna White is no more. Joe Ford coming in at the buzzer. Thank you very much. Choke D. She's still on, is she really? I tells you, listen, I don't watch those shows. The only time I ever watched The Price is Right. Well, I watched that one at nighttime, but shows like The Wheel of Fortune or Another World or any those kind of shows was when I had been working and I got laid off and I was looking for a job, and then I'd be like, all right, I went looking for a job today, and I'd go out, come home in the afternoon, and I'd watch soap operas and stuff like that. Well, listen, the trick is to get them at the right age. You get them around 20 years old to 30, 40, and they're in their prime. Time waits for nobody, that's right. And, listen, guys have it just as bad as women sometimes. The thing is, if a woman gets older, listen, some guys want the older women, but you don't see a lot of 19-year-old kids going, I want that 65-year-old, And here, if it's a 65-year-old man with a 19-year-old girl, it's because they've got the scratch and they're willing to pay it. I can't stand watching Thai soap operas. They just they whine too much. They cry too much. They're too freaking emotional, and it's just like, shut up. Really, that's the thing. There's some Thai women, and this is a part of Thai culture where they're constantly, oi, my, oi, um, and like I've done it to a few in my life. I've just said like, will you shut the fuck up? It's like, be quiet, stop. It's like, enough already. Were you when you were filming in Hong Kong? Were you ever? Yeah, of course. There's a couple of times when, one time in particular, like in the first couple of weeks when I got there, the cops were. Every time there would be a certain few cops at the front, and they would see me, and they always were like, "Let me see that. Let me see the press pass." Because at first I didn't have one. I was using like my driver's license. I didn't have the press pass. I didn't have it in my possession at the time, and then I finally got it after a couple days there, and but they always wanted to see, hey, who are you with, and there was a couple times when guys were like, like I would be photographing them, and they'd be like, "Don't take pictures of me." I have photos up where like there was two or three times when guys raised their tear gas guns at me, and they were like, "You need to stop photographing me." And I just figured, well, either you're going to shoot me and there's going to be a hell of a problem. I mean, I'll be dead or I'll be, maimed, which wouldn't be good. But I figured they wouldn't do it. If it was a rubber bullet, well, that's a different story. But with a tear gas canister, if it was done, it would have been done kind of like because I was in the wrong place or whatever. I just was standing somewhere I shouldn't have been standing. But I always just kept photographing them. Okay, yeah, okay, chick, whatever you say. Listen, even here in Thailand, I was telling my wife the other day because I saw something on TV where they were showing the penis shrine. That's it's right off of Wireless Road, or not Wireless, it's Withayu and Petchbury. It's on the corner. And it's in the back. You have to go back away through this driveway and everything. And I saw it there, and I remember that the woman was like, "No, you can't take photos, you can't shoot video." And I was like, "Okay," and I just kept shooting. And after a couple of minutes, I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, sorry." No, I think it's 2023 is the election. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to the Indonesian woman who lost her eye. I think because she was Indonesian, there wasn't as much attention as there would have been if it was a Brit or an American or something like that. I think she got the short end of the stick there. I don't know what happened with her because they could never find the police officer. They would never admit who the police officer was that shot her. And so that made it a problem for her to prosecute them. But let me see. If she ever received a settlement. I don't believe so, but could be wrong. Yeah, see, it just says she was shot in the face. And there's nothing. She's blinded. There's nothing else here. Wow. Her name is Vebi Mega Inda. I should search her name. Okay, so they did about a year ago. They identified the officer linked to the shooting. Yeah, I mean, this is still going on. I don't think that she's going to get any. Hong Kong police sued by journalists who lost an eye. I don't think anything's going to happen, to be honest. I didn't do the one where the guy got shot and killed. I was there like an hour after he got shot. I was in that area, but I do believe I got people that, at least one person that got shot with a rubber bullet, and you know, I mean, there was tear gas all the time being shot, so I got lots of that, but I didn't get the guy who got shot. The one guy, he got shot in the stomach or something. He was a young guy. I think he recovered and he's all right now, but I believe he got arrested. That was a very popular area in the afternoon for protesters there. That was a. It's almost surreal right now when I think about it, because I don't know what prompted me to go there, to be honest. You know, I mean, it's just like I said about like Central African Republic or the Central Africa as a whole. I don't know why I want to go there. I'm just, maybe because I've seen it since I was a little kid and it's always interested me. I don't know. And I wouldn't want to go there right now just because of the way that the virus is being taken care of, and who knows what. It would just give them so much power to do what they want. And I don't know that. I would have to really look into it. I know there's one girl in particular that I don't know where she is right now. Let me see. But she's very very well-known French photographer in the wow. Let me see something here. I don't know if that's good or bad. Let me see. Her name is Melanie Booby. Yeah, here she is. I believe she's in the Congo right now. Yeah, I believe she's in the Congo. You know, she knows that area very well. She's very very experienced. She knows what she's doing. I don't know what I'm doing. When it comes to that area, I wouldn't have a clue. I barely had a clue in Hong Kong, you know. Married to Andy Williams, huh? What? The only one I know that was married to Andy Williams was the girl who shot Spider Savage, which was that Claudia Longet, who was in McHale's Navy. Yeah, that's the only one. Anyway, we're at 98 minutes now, which is over an hour and a half. We're basically just shooting this shit now. We've lost focus here about the average Joe. I think we've kind of talked that in. We know that, all right, the only way for the average Joe to stand a chance is to band together with other average Joes, and even that doesn't always help. Because when you think about it, like, let's say in some, you know, I guess if you're in a place like, for instance, in Africa, and you're able to get plenty of weapons, you can fight with the government. But in most Western countries, I don't see that happening. They have to improvise. So it's in the Middle East and in Africa that kind of stuff happens. But, you know, in the United States, they just make shit difficult. And even in Hong Kong, you know, they didn't. There weren't people bringing out machine guns and, you know, gunning down the police or anything like that. So if they had, that would have prompted surely that would have prompted a very harsh response from the Chinese government, from the CCP, you know. Yeah, I was in Cambodia when they still were walking around with machine guns everywhere, and it was a little bit tense at times. They usually, like, if they stopped you, usually they either just wanted to know about you or they wanted $5 or something because they wanted to buy some sodas. That was the way out. Give them $5 and you do whatever you want. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining in the stream. Thank you for the thumbs up and thank you for the thumbs down. It all comes down to you know, the clicks and the views and all that kind of stuff. Thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't really matter. So if you want to leave a thumbs up, great. If you don't, that's your prerogative as well. I don't know when I'll be streaming again. What is this? And create a third party in the political sphere. I don't know if I'm not seeing some things coming through, but anyway, thank you. Thank you for joining me. And if you've got a topic you want to see covered, leave it in the comments. Please make sure to leave a thumbs up. Leave, if you got something to say, leave it in the comments. And I guess that's all we got for now. Choke the jerk and my... Choke the lout jerk and my. That's good luck, and see you later. Yeah, let's just blame it all on Trump. Everything's on Trump. It's all Trump. Has nothing to do with anybody else there. The Democrats didn't have anything to do with it. I'm not blaming anybody, because you know what? The bottom line is we don't really know all the facts. That's what I believe. I don't believe we know all the facts about that. I just think it's a bunch of horse shit. It's a bunch of hooey. Anyway, like I said, I'll see you when I see you. Chokey and all that good stuff. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Good or bad, that's fine. Just don't get nasty. Let's keep it civil, if we can do that. And yeah, don't forget about the t-shirts. FLM for a limited time. Use the code FLM. You get 20% off all merch. Buy a book. Use the PayPal. Use the Patreon. Use the join button. Whatever. Use the Amazon. And just get something from Amazon. You don't pay anything extra or whatever. Richard, thank you very much, as always, for joining. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the donations. Yeah, what else? I don't know. Keep watching. And I really want to turn this into... I want to turn the videos into like a podcast on Apple. You know, it's easier for some people just to listen than to watch. And I'll tell you what, it's easier to make them where I don't have to shoot video all the time and worry about the video and the lighting and the audio, because I got people bitching about the audio, and you know, people bitch about the audio. Oh, it's too bright. It's not bright enough. You got to get a new microphone, and you know, all this kind of shit. Which really, I don't want to hear it. I only want to hear it if it's constructive. You know, like, hey, your microphone was crackling. Okay, that's good. You know. Anyway, good night. Be safe. All that good stuff. Podbean. There's all kinds of ways to podcast, but yeah, I'm looking into it. I've been looking into it for a long time, so I know about the many different ways. It's just a matter of, you know, doing it and then sticking with it, which is not always as easy as you think. Trump got people to vote for him, probably never voted for him before. With many people, it was a breath air at first. Well, I would say the same thing about Biden. Listen, a lot of people voted for Biden because they didn't want to vote for Trump. Just like, you know, a lot of people voted for Trump because they didn't want to vote for Clinton. So, you know, just remember one thing, and that is that if you are free to choose who you want, even though the choices are limited, that says a lot for our country. In many places, they don't have that freedom. All right? So with that, I've said goodbye enough. I'll talk to you guys later. Ciao.